Hey, welcome back guys. Really briefly I just want to say a massive thank you for all the feedback for the introduction video. It seems that I reached quite a few people that are interested in what I have to say and following along on the journey, which is really great, and I appreciate any and all support. So this video I'm going to very briefly go over the last 6 months of my life and include all of the softwares and new skills that I've managed to acquire during that time. I've gone through and reflected, which is something I don't often do. I just like to think what's next and what's the next thing, but this process has forced me to do that, and doing so has been quite, it's been interesting to see what I've managed to cover. Approximately 50 new softwares stroke new skills is what I've kind of accumulated it to over the 6 months. So I'm going to go through each month individually, covering off what I managed to, what I achieved and what I learned during each month, and then I want to basically go over and briefly tell you what the purpose of each skill, learning each skill, was for, and at the end of the video I'm going to leave all of the links and everything below for anyone that wants to pursue their own sort of journey and maybe obtain some of the skills that I'm going to explain. October is when I really sort of dived deep, but prior to that I was learning a lot of sort of graphic design skills that I hadn't really developed before. I used a software called CANVA. I'm sure you're all very familiar with CANVA. I can't really speak of it any higher. It's brilliant software. If people want to sort of quickly get down to being able to put together some logos or some PDF documents or flyers for print or anything like that, I would definitely suggest CANVA if you're not going to outsource and sort of pay someone else to do it for you. There's loads of templates on there that are really easy to use. It's like a lot of sort of drag and drop elements, and to be honest, with the templates and stuff, you can just go in and really just plug in the content or the details that you want, alter the colours, maybe move a few logos around, and there you go, you've got what you need. They allow downloads for print purposes or digital purposes. They have templates that are already sized for Facebook, Instagram, or any socials, email templates, all sorts of stuff, man. I can't really say anything but positive things about CANVA. So anyone that's looking to sort of develop or has the need for those sorts of things, I'll definitely look it up. It's a small monthly fee. And there's plenty of tutorials of how to do things on there. If you're finding it a bit awkward, I'll probably do some on there myself in the future. But yeah, that is CANVA. Okay, so after CANVA, this is really October times now, because CANVA was really before that time. Throughout the summer I was learning that, as well as a software called My PT Hub, which is something I used. It's a software I use to sort of bridge my physical training in a gym and move it across to the online sort of platform, online format, which I have today. It's an application which is pretty much a framework, and then you can, same sort of thing as CANVA really, you just sort of go in and plug in your own content, brand it up for yourself, to suit your audience. It's quite technical. There's certain parts that are quite technical, so I've done a lot of research, a lot of tutorials and stuff to make sure I'm getting the most out of the software. And yeah, man, My PT Hub is definitely something if you're a personal trainer and you want to sort of manage your clients in a digital way, more online, having online programs, being able to converse with your clients through the application. There's so many features to it. I'm not going to go through them all, but My PT Hub is definitely something I would have a look into, which is interesting today because going into the end of this, you'll learn about my coding journey, and a lot of my sort of vision has come through applications such as My PT Hub, and how I can make them better really. So I'm trying to learn coding, well I am learning coding to enable me to be able to build my own applications and such, and put my own sort of twist on things and improve these softwares in the best way that I can. So yeah, that's my PT Hub. Then, so really stepping into October now, which is this intense sort of 6-month period, right? The first thing I've done is I come across something I come across back in sort of 2018. It's a guy called Richard Brunson. He owns a software called ClickFunnels. He also has a lot of sort of educational tutorial type content, which is really insightful. I learned an awful lot from Russell Brunson. I take my hat off to the guy. He's incredibly good at what he does. But anyone that wants to really take a fast track into how business works, if you've got a business concept or a business idea and you're looking at how to structure it, how to reach audiences, there's so much enclosed. But this was the first thing that I come across, the first book that I bought, richardbrunson.com Secrets. As soon as I started reading this book, I was like, wow, man, it's like it answered a lot of the questions that I kind of had, or knowledge that I had, but it sort of dived in and sort of took it to another sort of level. It's like it's knowledge I had, but I couldn't really implement this knowledge without knowing the details that sort of Russell Brunson sort of filled the gaps in for me. That's the best way I can explain it. But within this book, you will learn so much about how the online space works, right? How to structure offers, how a funnel works, right? How a sales funnel works, upsells, downsells, how to tell a story to help sort of engage with your audience and get them emotionally attached or connected to the things you're trying to sell, right? So much, a lot of psychology, there's a lot in there, and of course it's all structured around his software, which is ClickFunnels, which is a brilliant software. Again, there's so much that I learned whilst I was on there. It's very expensive though, $297 a month is the monthly fee for ClickFunnels, so it's all good if your funnels are up and you're managing to pull in, you know, good sort of funds to cover that. But I expect, like me, when you first launch any sort of concept or any sort of business, it's very hard to get off the ground, right? You need investment in ways, like a lot of his models run through like paid ads and stuff like this, so you would need that initial investment to be able for this model to work, right? But yeah, it's fantastic stuff. This is his first book. As soon as I read that, I got his full series because I don't mess around. I was like, nah, this guy's got some knowledge I need to absorb. So I went ahead and got the Trilogy box set, which looks like that. This includes the .com series, Expert Secrets, and Traffic Secrets, which looks like this. Okay, again, I went through all of them books. I probably covered all 3 of these books within well, I'd say about 4 to 5 weeks it was. I got through them. But it's not just about taking the knowledge on board, right? It's about implementing it. So as you go through the book, he encourages you to like build out your own sort of concepts and actually apply the things that you're learning in each chapter. So I'd go away, read a chapter, and then come back to it, sort of filling in all the details and applying what I learned to the business idea or model that I had. Yeah. With the box set as well, you get Unlock the Secrets, which is exactly that. It's a playbook. So as you go along, learning the different sort of concepts, you can fill in the Unlock the Secrets book as you go along, which then becomes your business plan, right? It's a full in-depth business plan. Everything you need is within this book. As you can see, I've been cracking on a bit. But yeah, I would definitely recommend looking into Richard Brunson if you wanted to fast track, in particular, your online knowledge of how business works, the whole e-com space. Social, digital marketing. He covers a lot of ground, and he'll bring you up to speed very, very quickly if you invest in him. So yeah, man, that was the whole Richard Brunson ClickFunnels sort of funnel element, which was very, very interesting. learning a lot about the back end as well, how email marketing works and all of this type of stuff, right? So yeah, that was sort of October. Okay, so yeah, and then with a lot of the stuff that Richard Brunson teaches you, a lot of the model is, when I say, based around ads, right? Once you've built up your framework and you understand your model and everything's in place, you'll be looking at running ads. So the first place that most people go to, which is very good for ads depending on your service or product, is Facebook. To be able to actually market properly on any social media or online, it's very important that you put tracking pixels in place for you to be able to analyze the data on how your ads are performing. Okay, this is how you actually optimize and return on your investment, right? So I learned exactly that. I went away and researched online, any videos, YouTube tutorials or whatever. Facebook has some pretty good stuff as well. They have actual modules now that you can go through and sort of learn how that all works, but that was interesting. So yeah, that's going onto your website and sort of leaving tracking pixels, so when someone clicks on your ad and lands on your website, all of this data is stored, so you know how well an ad is performing, to put it really broadly. But then that leads into the whole Google space as well. It's exactly the same concept with Google Ads, you're just on a different platform, so you have to go away and learn all of the Google Analytics stuff, which luckily I had some prior knowledge to from GoHam in 2012 up to sort of 2014. I was doing a lot of that then anyway. But yeah, that's a whole can of worms, man. Like, but to go in there, don't be too sort of put off by it, because it's easy to look at that interface of Google Analytics and think, what? Like, it's raw. Like, it looks a bit mad, but there's different tiers of knowledge, do you know what I mean, that you need to really apply it, right? So if you sort of go in at the entry level, just set up the basic pixels. When you set up a campaign, set up an individual like event pixel, so you know how each campaign is sort of performing, but you can get some pretty good data back that you can analyze and optimize on using analytics tools with relatively limited knowledge, right? You just need to understand the basics of how it works, and you can most definitely benefit from it. I would never ever run an ad without setting up some sort of analytics tracking of how the ad is performing, because it's so counterproductive. You'll never know if that ad's really returning. You'll never know what artworks or what headers or what copy or the things that's actually making people click the ad, because this is what's important, right? It's all about impressions and how many people click through them impressions. Impressions are how many views, how many times it's seen by people. So all of this matters, and obviously the better ratio you get from people seeing the ad to people clicking through to the ad to then people navigating through your website and making purchases, you monitor each phase and you try and figure out exactly where people are dropping off, so you can tighten up that area and get more people at the bottom, you know, at the end of the funnel, which is a purchase, right? But every action is something you want to track, and even a click on the ad it's a positive signal. So yeah, analytics is something I dived into in sort of November time, bringing myself back up to speed with it, November sort of December. And really going deep with making sure that all of my stuff, like all of my content is connected, all of my pages, my website, my landing pages, everything is talking to each other, so I can at least obtain and have that data, so I can go back in, analyze it, and then optimize on it to better my ad performance moving forward. Yeah, so next, this is halfway through December time now. I've pretty much absorbed and consumed all of the Russell Brunson information and knowledge, and I have applied it to my scrawny to strong system. This is how I built out that whole system, right? Really helped me bring all the ideas that I had about training, and as I say, it's very important for me to blend the health and wellness and the mental aspect to this, because I just think it's so overlooked in personal training. and I wanted to be able to incorporate that as much as I can into my training programs. And to do that is through the skills I learned through Russell Brunson, which is having a website, having a membership area, having a space where people can go at any time. You know, don't have to rely on sort of times of when I'm awake to get hold of me. The content is there constantly, which I've filled up with loads of ebooks on you know, nutrition, on, you know, how to perform exercises, proper form. I can't really, there's so much. I will put some of the things around me when I come to edit this video, and I'll also leave some links to some free ebooks that I've made below. But to be able to do that, I had to learn something which is called PLR. PLR, private label rights. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, I guess some of you definitely are. To make it as simple as possible, an example would be this. So Heinz ketchup. Heinz obviously developed ketchup, right? But you know how you can see it, you know, you can buy the same ketchup from an Asda or a Tesco branded under different names and stuff, right? This is PLR. This is where Heinz had a product that they couldn't, the demand was greater than what they could supply. So what they do is they license out other companies to be able to brand the same product as their own and sell it as their own, right? So that's PLR. There might be a one-up fee for them to be able to have the license to do that. It happens all around in business, as I'm sure you know, you're aware of, you've seen. But that's the quickest and easiest way I can kind of explain it, right? So in context I'm explaining is through ebooks, right? It's very, 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 very powerful thing to know, PLR, private label rights, because what I didn't understand, and what a lot of you guys probably don't get, is that a lot of these ebooks and stuff that you see online, you think that is a lot of work, right? Like, to write a book, it's going to take me a long time. You're not wrong, it absolutely would. So this is where PLR comes in, right? There's websites you can go out to where people have, you know, they've researched data, or they're sort of scientific documents, or they're written pieces, you know, fully sort of finished products that are books, but they want to sell the PLR rights to that. So, you know, to sort of maximise the reach of how they can sell, maybe it's not selling so well for the audience that they built it for, or whatever. There's a number of reasons. Some people actually make content specifically to sell as PLR. So once you sort of go out there and find the certain sites, which I will leave below as well, if you guys to have a look for yourself, you'll see how incredibly cheap it is to obtain really good information. You can purchase that, and then once you purchase that, you must look at the licenses, because they're all different. Some of them are just sort of personal licenses, some of them are commercial licenses, which enables you to then take that content, brand it as your own, and you know, sell it or give it away to your audience, right? So instead of going away and writing a really in-depth book about a subject, you know, you could go ahead, find a PLR that suits your needs, purchase the rights to it, brand it as your own, and put it out there. Very, very, very powerful. So that's PLR. I will probably go into that in a little more detail for people that, if people want that. Please leave comments below for anything I'm discussing, anything you want to hear more on, any subjects that you want me to sort of discuss. Just leave a comment below, and I will definitely come back to it and consider making a video for that. So yeah, after PLR, I moved across now. I sort of had all my structure together, I had all my content together, I built my ebooks, and now it was time to really put forward the video marketing aspect, where it's important for, you know, people to engage with who is actually behind the program that is built. Like, what is my story? Like, why should I listen to this guy over 1,000 other guys that are selling fitness programs? So it's important for me to speak to a camera, which is not something that I'm comfortable with. However, it seems now I've come a long way with that, and that has been a process, and I guess that is a pretty big thing for a lot of us. Yeah, like, I am an introvert. I don't like being centre of attention. I'm an observer. For me to talk to a camera in the past has been incredibly hard. This sort of last few months I've come on a bit of a spiritual journey. I've sort of looked a lot at myself, I looked a lot into ego and all of these types of things, and I was just like, nah, I'm doing it, and I don't really care how it's, you know, for my own sort of negative feelings towards it. Like, the purpose is greater than myself and I need to do it, so this is why I'm doing it. So yeah, for that I had to learn Camtasia. Now Camtasia is a video editing software. It's wicked, man. It's like the same thing with like Canva and equivalent to Photoshop. Photoshop is great, it's so technical though. Like, you can't really just get involved and start designing things without learning so much just how the software works. Canva lets you hit the ground running. It's the same sort of thing with Camtasia and like a Video Editor Pro, you know, one of these more in-depth, detailed video editing softwares. Yeah, Camtasia is really easy. It works very similar to a lot of them sort of phone video editing apps. Do a few tutorials, you hit the ground running, man. So with that, I started to put together my own little videos to help to explain and promote my my new Scrawny to Strong system, my online training program. With that, I learned a little green screen trick, as you can see here, which I always sort of thought like green screens was for some like crazy cameras and sort of, I don't know, some crazy setup that cost loads of money and you need all sorts of like editing skills, but it is not the case. I would say this with so many things, man. Like, if you just go out there, just tap it, whatever you want to learn, just tap it into Google, go to YouTube and just get some honest feedback from honest people, and you'll be surprised how easy a lot of things are to learn. Yeah. So same thing with me, Camtasia. I was like, okay, how does green screen thing work? Because I wanted to put myself, as you see me now, with content behind me. I was like, I looked into you know, other people and how their videos are and stuff like that. And yeah, I managed to learn the skill really quickly. It's really not hard. You just get a green screen. You understand how chroma works. On Camtasia, it's literally as simple as dragging and dropping a no background element onto the the piece of content you want to remove the background from, and just touching up some of the tones. Right, it's just important to get an even lighting on the green screen. You probably see my fingers there as they move. They're the other little things that you have to sort of move around. But yeah, that's Camtasia. Camtasia's great. Anyone that wants to learn video editing for YouTube videos similar to this or anything at all, man, Camtasia is definitely a software I would look into learning. Yeah. So also sort of the back end of December, to make sure that I'm optimizing on my message and stuff, I learned a lot about copy, sales copy, like how to actually write effective sort of written words that connect with people, obviously with the intent to sell, but you don't want to come across like that. So I learned a lot about how to tell your story through copy. I learned a lot about headlines also, how important a catchy headline is, how you want to have pattern interrupts and stuff like this. So when people are scrolling, for example, for a Facebook feed, something that makes someone stop, like what is that? What makes someone stop on that post and want to click it, right? These are the types of things I looked into, and split testing different titles and different pictures and stuff like that on the ads to be able to optimize. And then I looked more into my graphic design. I wanted to take that a little bit deeper, so I started looking into Photoshop, which I'm sort of in my beginning phases of, sort of still now. I've learned a lot, but I would still, I would still go to a Canva, for example, for quick sort of work. But if you want to now look into sort of more in-depth design, that's what I'm on the journey of Photoshop. But I also looked into calligraphy, like different types of like fonts, and why you would use a certain font over another. I have quite a natural eye for that anyway, but I wanted to enhance that, and it's the same with colours and the different spectrums and the different formats, because you need to know this when you're using online systems. So like you have the RGBA scale and you have the hex scale. And then it's about, like, cause I'm sure like you guys have clicked on things online, and then you've got that like sort of circle with all the colours of the rainbow. that's what I'm talking about. And then how each colour has a specific code. So if you want to keep branding consistent throughout all of your work, all of your documents, it's important to get the hex code for that actual colour, or your RGBA, whatever format you're using, but you need to keep consistent colours throughout. It's not something you do with your eye, because all screens show colours in a different way. So yeah, I learned a lot about that, and then how different colours complement each other or reject each other. So if you're using a colour on one end of the spectrum, like one end of that circle is the best way to explain it. At the top, you would look for a complementing colour at the opposing side of that circle for you to have a complementing set of colours, because some colours, you know, they just clash and they're not visually appealing. So I've done a bit of work in that as well, which all goes towards you know, having that aesthetically pleasing sort of look. Like, that's important to me when it comes to branding. It's something I'm quite natural at. I've always paid attention to branding and how like certain signs look, how sort of certain logos look and stuff like that. So I wanted to improve my knowledge in that area, so that's how I went about doing that. Sort of December time, I looked a lot into traffic, so how to generate traffic. That is a question that I guess anyone who's ever tried to build any sort of online business, that is the biggest thing, right? So again, this is where Richard Brunson come in for me, and he enlightened me into spaces that I hadn't really gone before that. So traffic, what I learned is this: traffic isn't something that you want to go out and try to find, okay? Traffic is something it's there. Like, there's traffic everywhere for whatever product or service. The audience you're trying to reach, they are out there in small little pockets, right? And it's about locating exactly where your audience are online, okay, and then standing in front of that traffic rather than trying to pull it in towards you. Yeah, it's already there. Just find the right locations, the right places, and stand in front of it. So I'm like, cool, that makes a lot of sense, Russ. So I took that knowledge. He comes with something called the Dream 100, right, where he says, go out. Firstly, guys, you have to put yourself in your audience's shoes. Don't think of it as you, as the owner of the business or the marketeer. Think of it as your customer or your client. Where are they? What are the type of things they're doing? When they're sitting at home scrolling through their phone, what groups are they in? What platforms do they use? How long are they online? Where do they shop? All these types of things, okay? Because they all become potential places, them little containers like I was explaining, where you can go out and stand in front of those traffic sources. So for example, for myself, so Dream 100 concept would be this, right? I would go onto Facebook, for example. Facebook groups is something we're all quite familiar with. Very effective for sort of free advertising if you do it in the right way, not in a spammy way. So I would go out and I would seek 100 groups that I thought would be relevant and held my perfect customer, my perfect client, right? So I would list 100 groups, I'd put all that into a database, I would put how many followers that they have, and I would grab the contact details for the owners of those groups. It's hard on Facebook in this example because there's no email, so you have to go into admin, get clever, see who the owners of the page are, and then try to friend request them and get on a conversation with them personally about whatever proposal you have for them. But the idea is to either work a situation where, look, you have a great audience, like this is my online training program, like I feel your audience would definitely be interested in the services that I have to sell. Can we work out a situation where, you know, we can plug some of my content or my services, or run an ad on your group, or like there's so many different angles you can have with that, but just try and strike some sort of deal with the owner of that group, that traffic source that you're trying to reach, okay? Another example would be like an online blog, or do you know what, an Amazon seller. That's something people don't think of. So you might have an Amazon seller that just sells loads of fitness wear, but you see a lot of these business owners, especially online marketeers, they have a database. What's a database? Database is an email list, effectively, or a phone number list of clients, right? They're the places you want to try to locate and find to be able to tap into their audience, because an ad floating around you know, a social media site, and you come across an ad, you've got no familiarity with this person or whatever, it's very hard to get through to that person. But if you're going through an avenue where someone has an audience, a fitness audience, for example, for my concept, and they're engaged with them with an email list, they're sending out weekly emails, keeping their audience engaged, and then all of a sudden, you know, they push my service on that. It's like a stamp of endorsement to that client base, which makes it a lot more likely for those people to engage in the content that you're trying to push forwards towards them. So that's where I kind of shifted my marketing strategy, and it works incredibly well. Especially if you make the right relationships. There's a concept that Russell says. He says about digging your well before you want to drink from it. None of us like when someone comes out the blue asking for us to do something for them, right? So the best way to, and what Russell explains is best approach is to sort of, you know, jump in these groups before you want to drink from the well, before you want to promote your service or your product. Engage with the content, provide value to people. That is something that I can't explain anymore. It's like anything you go into shouldn't be money, how can I make money? It should be how can I provide the most value to the people I'm trying to reach. Like, how can I do that? Like, how can I stand out? How, if this is what they expect, then this is what I want to give them. Yeah. So when you have that approach also, it flips your whole concept and your way of thinking into the client's perspective and the customer's perspective and what their real needs or requirements are. So yeah, that's the whole sort of Dream 100. I'm going to go a lot more into this in a lot more detail, but there's only so much time I've got in this video. But yeah, so yeah, that being said, I'm going to wrap this one up. I don't want to take up too much of your time each episode, so I'm going to try and keep it around the 30-minute mark maximum. So yeah, I'm going to put everything, like the continuation of my journey, into the next video, which will be on Sunday. I'll be releasing videos every Wednesday and every Sunday for anyone that wants to stay tuned and, you know, keep on top and on track of every episode. But I appreciate again all of your help. Thanks so much for your support, guys. I really appreciate a thumbs up. If you could like the video and consider subscribing, that would help me out an awful lot just to reach some more people. But yeah, until next time, peace out.